thank you. So you got to make sure it's you don't want to be going back to clients 3 months, 6 months later going, oh my God, we got to raise our rates by 30%, 40%. You got to make sure they're profitable from the get-go, and you got to make sure they're competitive, because you can't raise them so much that you're out of market. So, those three things, all of these things have to be in line. Now, to cover this, I'm going to have Will Nobles come up. He already talked about this. He's on camera, as you can see. He's the owner of Vector Choice. They're a $12 million year MSP, 8 locations, grew it from scratch, long-term Producers Club member of mine, and Toolkit member. And today he's in charge of VP of Client Coaching. We've got well over 1,300 MSPs, and he's the co-leader of MSP Launch Academy. Also Mike Bazar. So Mike's not on camera yet, I don't think, and he'll come on soon. But Mike was, he's a Producers Club member. He was the 2021 Better Your Best winner. So best of my best clients. Nearly doubled sales from 2019 to 2021 during COVID, and is trending to be about 4.5 million. He's in Lubbock, Texas, guys. So Lubbock is small.
It's like 265,000 people.
But everything's supposed to be big in Texas, Mike.
Well, the view is huge. Just the population.
It's like tumbleweeds and
free sandblasting.
Right? Do you still pay phones in Lubbock?
I haven't seen one in a long time, but I wouldn't be surprised if I found one somewhere.
Okay. All right. I mean, people from Lubbock go up to like Lancaster just to see what the big city's like, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm talking about, right? Not a big place. And then Brian Hamilton is also going to come up here. He's CEO of Mad Data IO, and he runs a business with his partner and wife, Mary Hamilton, who's the hot chick there with him.
The better looking one.
What's that?
The better looking one.
The better.
Yeah, the much better looking one. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. I see she's banished you to the car again, so that's nice.
Well, our house flooded, so like I got house construction, so yeah, you don't want to hear all that.
Okay, cool. All right. Was a very small break fix shop and is now about 2.5 million, growing fast. All right, so they're going to come up. I want to have them talk to you about packaging, pricing, these trends we're talking about. So you're not just hearing from me. Like, these guys are actually running MSPs right now, doing the things that we're talking about. But one thing I want to make sure I announce, because some of you, hopefully you can stay on for the rest of this workshop. I mean, we've got a lot of great content. We still have 6 more of the 7 strategies to cover. And we've got Jeff Farr, but I just want to make sure you guys know about a program we have that we are launching again. So it's MSP Launch Academy, but it's a relatively new program, and we've been doing it for over a year now, to help companies like yours who are small to grow. So these are new sessions we have coming up. It is a proven plan to get you to 1 million. And the key is, it's not just marketing, it's coaching from successful MSPs to secure more profit from better clients. So this program's for you if you're small, you're under 1 million, you have honest ambition to grow, meaning you don't want to just be a tech with helpers. You actually want to be an entrepreneur. You're done with pot shot attempts at growth. It also that you're willing to play the long game, because guys, growing a business, we don't have a get rich quick plan here. It's going to take some time. So you got to be willing to finish the marathon, not just see how it goes. And you don't want to take a trial and error approach to growing your MSP. So, just a kind of quick, brief summary. This is an MSP development program to help you build the perfect turnkey operation. We do a lot of the marketing for you. It's going to be more than just marketing. It's pricing, packaging, everything, operations. We give you a website, marketing automation platform. You get people like Mike and Will and Brian coaching you. And later today, I'm going to make you an offer that's going to be very, very hard to say no to. So if you want a head of details, you can go to MSP Launch Academy, kind of get familiar, but don't go away, because I'm now turning it over to Will, Mike, and Brian, and they're going to be answering any questions about packaging, pricing, about growth, about any of the trends we're talking about, all the things I just covered. So Will, I'm going to turn it over to you guys. All right.
I appreciate it,
I'll be
Robin.
back.
Thank you so much. And I think I got the same thing Robin's got. I keep coughing as well, so I got to stop hanging out with her or something. But Mike, I want to start with you. I know Robin introduced you a little bit, but tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, where you came from, and how you got started.
Yeah, so I've been running the MSP as an MSP since 2009. Several years before that, kind of as a sole proprietor, doing whatever. Before that, even I went back and did mechanical engineering in college. Decided I didn't really want to do heating and air conditioning for a living, and designing that just sounded boring. And so anyway, so I worked with a company that did big wireless networks for open pit mines, and spent about 4 years traveling all over the US doing really cool stuff, but then decided I didn't want to do all that travel, and could I bring some of that Fortune 500 experience I had back to small businesses. And so that was kind of 2009 when I started the business. Was with that eye, how do we do that? How do we bring that back? So I've grown it from, the spare bedroom, and it was just me bootstrapped. I mean, our first year, we didn't have Christmas with the kids, except for my in-laws gave us some money to buy Christmas with the kids. I mean, they were young, and we basically decided they're never going to remember it anyways. They're 2, and we need the money to start the business, right? So kind of came from that to have grown it to, we're 21 employees, trending towards 4.5 million this year, depending on some projects and other things fall. And really just been growing, quickly over the last several years. We had one flat spot, and when that flat spot happened for a couple of years, that's when we got involved in TMT, and it's taken back off. We kind of grew by sheer force of will, and then leveled out, and then started really doing the sales and marketing, changing process, looking at things, pushing on that, and have been growing ever since.
And obviously it hasn't been easy because you lost all your hair doing it.
I did, yeah. I used to have hair one day way back.
Oh my God.
I had beautiful, luscious locks that are now gone.
That's where I
God.
got all the gray. This is all the stress is giving me all the.
But I've saved
Oh, my.
thousands of dollars in haircuts over the years.
Oh my God.
That's true. That's true. Well, Brian, thanks for being on with us as well. Sorry about, I was talking to you earlier today about your house. So sorry about that. Hope that gets taken care of for you. But Brian, share your and Mary's story of how, your story is powerful. So share that with us.
So we started our company in 2004 with 0 clients in a very extremely rural community of in a county of 52,000 people. And by the time 2017 got there, we were at $330,000 in total revenue and about $75,000 in debt. And so, and I think we had like $1,000 of MRR. Everything was break fix. So if you're doing break fix, I understand your pain where you're at. So in 18, we found Robin, and I actually had to go to a millionaire and ask him for $25,000 to pay for this. And he's like, what are you going to use it for? And I said, if you believe in me and what we're going to do, this is where we're going to go, and this is how I'll use the money. He goes, all right. So people will invest in you if they like you, they believe in you, they trust you. And I've always done his personal work. So he gave me the money to actually do this. So now I'm $100,000 in debt instead of 75. That was awesome. But we took that money and we put it into this. And immediately, it's so funny though, like we're on the phone with Aaron, and Aaron's like, and after 15 minutes, I'm like, Aaron, I'm sold. He's like, all right, let's sign up. I was like, Aaron, I don't have the money. We got to convince Mary. He's like, well, why isn't she on the call? I said, dude, if you don't get me, you'll never get my wife. Just kiss that goodbye. And he's like, okay. And so we sat down. I introduced it because my wife is one of those people you can't push into anything or she'll fight back. So I introduced Mary to Aaron, and she began to watch the videos. And then we're like, all right, we're going to do it. We got the money, paid for it. And before we even got the boot camp, I landed a boot camp, but our rapid implementation, really, we should have gone through an MSP academy like this, but it wasn't invented at the time. So we landed our first true contract in May, and our first event was in July. And so we were not an MSP. We didn't have the tools or anything like that. So I kind of different than Robin shared is I came back, started buying tools, and I launched a year and a half worth of QBRs. Every quarter I sat down and said, I need you to buy this. I need you to buy this. I need you to buy this. And we got our customers up to $33,000 of MRR in 6 months. And then we came back to them a year later and introduce contracts because we didn't know how to do it. And when we became part of Producers Club, we were taught how to do that, and we took those contracts. And now we're at $140,000 of MRR. And so in 17 and 30,000, 2021, we hit 1.8, last year 2.5. And this year we're going to hit 3.5 to 4 million, somewhere in there. And we moved from that rural community in Virginia, which Roanoke, Virginia, which you have an office there. And we've moved to Dallas, Texas, and that's where our office is at. We're in Frisco. And so we're starting to pick up, much like Will, we're starting to get opportunities now in other cities where MSP owners like us, trust us, and know us, and they want to sell their businesses to us. So it allows us to expand our footprint that way. But it took 6 years to get there, right? It just didn't happen overnight. So that's it.
Yeah.
And we paid off all that debt. Thank God.
That's awesome. Yeah, awesome, Brian. And as you guys see a theme here, and I want to clear up some verbiage to make sure, because it's like talking to a tech person, all kinds of acronyms, and we're using that. So MRR, monthly recurring revenue. That's key to managed services. If you guys are not familiar with that term, we talked about boot camp. Boot camp just happened for us 2 weeks ago. It's TMT's largest event that they have. And it is awesome. You come out of that fired up, about 1,300 people there, or counting vendors and everybody, about 2,000 people there. Awesome event. We do that once a year. So as what Robin was sharing with you about MSP launch, that is part of your membership, as well as getting tickets to boot camp. And then Rapid, we talked about Rapid. Brian talked about Rapid here. Rapid is a program above what's MSP launch, and it's a program we go through to get you kick-started in to or higher level memberships and everything. So my story, like a lot, I started in 2008. I was a vice president of, I was going to say vice president of client coaches. That's what I'm doing now. Vice president of technology at a mortgage company. We had about 900 employees in 2007. Actually, Friday the 13th, Friday the 13th, we shut our doors at 5 o'clock because of the burst of the mortgage industry. And so I said myself then, I said, I am tired of working for someone to take the risk. I'm going to take the risk of myself if I'm going to do it. And so I went out and started my company. I started doing in 2007. I didn't even incorporate in 2007. Don't tell the IRS. And so I was just doing break fix stuff, what we consider break fix, or any projects I could do, or any consulting things I could do. And then 2008, I incorporated, and then joined TMT as a member in 2016, and here we are today. So this is sort of a little bit about my background. I have offices. Yes, I'm in Atlanta. Someone was asking me, and I was doing a private chat with them. We have offices in Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., New Bern, North Carolina, Mobile, Alabama, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Nashville, so we have it all over the place. So when people, I've had people come to me and say, Will, I cannot charge these prices in South Carolina. I cannot, marketing doesn't work in South Carolina. I'm like, well, I guess it works in North Carolina, Georgia, and Nashville. I mean, Tennessee, where it's surrounding South Carolina, but I guess there's borders in South Carolina. No, guys, it doesn't matter where you're at. It definitely does work if you put your mind to it.
And real quick too, there's a member I know that's in TMT, and he's gotten to, it's a town of 20,000 people. He does 1.2 million with a 20% EBITDA at the end of the year. So he's making 20% on that in a town of 20,000 people. Right. So it's like, you want to talk about small and big and making money, like it's all head trash for the most part. Like there is a lot of business. There's a lot of opportunity. People say I have too many competitors. I probably have in Lubbock, which again, 300,000 people on a good day because everybody came to lunch. But, and is in town from all little ones. I've probably got 4 competitors that are at least $5 million a year. In this small town, and we still are going to do 4.5 this year. Like, I mean, and there's a whole bunch of other small competitors too. So, I mean, yeah, there's competition, but it's all head trash, right? There's a ton of business out there to go get.
Yeah. So guys, some of the questions when Robin asked, what's your biggest concern, your biggest hurdle? One of them was talking about upsell to existing clients. And you've heard Robin talk about QBRs. How important is QBRs is quarterly business reviews or technology business reviews, whatever you want to call it. It is a regular meeting that you sit down and not talk about the fire of a ticket, and the tickets they put in about business strategy. Mike, I'll start with you at first. How important is QBRs in your business?
So QBRs are huge, right? I think a lot of people undersell them. We're trying to call them TBRs more just because I don't want to promise quarterly, because sometimes we have some really small clients who might not actually meet quarterly. So we don't want an implied quarterly meeting, but we try to meet with everybody a couple times a year, and larger clients. Like I've got one client, we have a weekly meeting, right? With their in-house people. And so it's a big deal because one, technology is constantly changing. Your customers need to know that, understand it. Your customers are constantly changing. You need to know that and understand it, because there's a lot of times they have pain and other things, and you can solve that pain if you'll listen. And that's the other mistake. I think a lot of people, they tried to do QBRs, TBRs, and they say they're not worth anything or customers don't want to go. It's because every time you showed up, you gave a report they didn't care about. You talked about things they didn't care about, and you tried to sell them something at the end of it, rather than trying to really talk about their business. Like we'll ask customers, what are annoyances? Is there anything in your business you think should be automated? And we'll see if that's something that maybe we can or can't do. One customer, they had a PO approval process that was terrible. Like there were a bunch of emails and waiting on people. So we set up some SharePoint forms and a few other things because they're at Office 365 and automated a lot of the process, and they loved it. And it took about a week's worth of labor to do it, and they still use it. They've been using it for a couple of years and they love it. But you can't find those opportunities unless you're talking to them. So I think a lot of people miss out on those opportunities to do TBRs and QBRs and really figure out what are your customer needs, what's changing, continue to talk to them. How can you help them? Wire fraud's a big deal. Like we can talk about it. Lubbock County, there was a news story that they got defrauded by $550,000. Secret Service got the money back. There's nothing in that article that mentions it, but we talked with the Secret Service and that particular thing, not because they're our customer, but because one of our customers was connected to it. And they actually said that we had better reporting and logging than most MSPs they deal with, which is fantastic. But the point is that news article happened. Somebody got ripped off through a wire fraud scam that happened with email. Now I can go back and take that to customers during the next set of QBRs and TBRs and talk about why they need different pieces of email security maybe they haven't bought. It's a relevant story. I can help increase their security. It doesn't feel like I'm selling, I'm helping. Those are the kinds of things that you want to look at. And you can only really do that effectively, or you can do it more effectively with QBRs and TBRs. Otherwise, it's always like you're showing up and you're opening your coat and you're like, do you want to buy a watch? Like nobody wants to work with that guy, right? But if I show up and say, here's where somebody lost money, here's what would have solved that problem, would you like to do it? Almost everybody will go, yeah, let's solve that problem.
Yep. And a lot of everybody on here probably are techs, just like how we all started out. And scared to get in front of the client. I wouldn't say scared, but uncomfortable getting in front of the client to sell. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not a sell. So get in and educate. The sell will come if you actually educate. So just get in the door, sit down with them, have a conversation about what's going on in the world, what's going on in your business. You're going to find solutions and the conversation for that.